Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyema Akshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangaistushtvagum Sastanubhi Vyashema Devahitan Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravaha Swasti nah Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti no Starkshyo Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati Dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So having gone over the two Mangala Charanam Vakyas, the important Vakyas by Adi Shankara, we now launch into the commentary on the main Mandukya and Karika from today. So what we will do is to closely follow the Shankara Bhashya on the Karika. And it has, of course, two important reasons why one does that. One is that his clarity, his explanations are second to none. Just an amazing mind. So all the Mahatmas follow his reasonings, his method of teaching, his examples, and it's something that we should really learn to do, and we have been doing it in the other ones. So this is one reason. The second reason is that I think for those of you that have some introduction to Sanskritam, will find it a good refresher as I will go through the recitation of the original Sanskrit Vakyas by Adi Shankara before launching into its explanation. And I think in terms of your books and so on, so we have several ones that we've done. Many of you actually have Swami Dayanandaji's Mandukya Karika book, which we will continue to follow even today. Then, for those of you who don't know Hindi, you are familiar with Swami Akhandanandaji's Mandukya Karika book, also in 4 volumes, both of them in 4 volumes. And in terms of my text of following the teaching, I'll probably follow this more. And I think there is a good reason for it. I didn't know this book by Swami Dayanandaji until recently, and so I was much more familiar with the other one. But even after reviewing this, I feel that this book here by Swami Dayanandaji is really meant for kind of like a advanced classroom teaching from people that know Sanskrit very well. And so this is obviously transcribed from a course in Anaikatti. So that's how it is. So it is not as easy to follow for people who are not in that class. Whereas Swami Akhandananda has given talks on it to a informed general public. So not just general public, but informed people who are very committed to it and who want to really get to it. I find that it's a little bit more in tune with our class. And so this is the reason I'm going to kind of accent this on Swami Akhandananda's books. But I think that this can also be used as for those of you that have the time, you should really go through this as well and pick out small differences in the way it is presented. You always get more out of it. So there are two parallel dimensions of explanations. Anyway, so let's start on it, and right away there will be one interesting difference between these two as we start today. So Swami Dayanand Ji, after commenting on the two Mangala Charanam Vakyas, straight away goes into the Shankara Bhashya. Oh, I should mention one other thing. Yeah, I didn't finish that thought. So there are two books that you are familiar with. And if you are, my sense would be that you can just listen to, especially many of you, I know I talked to a few people in the last couple of weeks who say that they may not sit down and attend these classes at home, but they try to listen to it while they are traveling or something like that. And the reason I'm mentioning it is because if that is the case, you don't really have the book in front of you. So it'll be even better then to simply listen to the exposition that I will be doing. So that's fine. But if you want to then have a double check reference later sometime, you should have the books with you. If you don't have the books, you can also get from the internet simply the Sanskritam of Mandukya Karika and the Shankara Bhashya. I think those are available. We might even have recommended that in the past. So you can just go through that and not really buy a book for any of these explanations. Anyway, so that's the background. So here, straight away, there are a couple of things that distinguish between these two books and so on. So it's interesting that the commentary on the main, it's like a coincidence that the commentary on the main Karika and Mandukya for both the books begin on page 31. So if you look at Swami Dayanand Ji's book, he starts on page 31. There's one small difference that I wanted to point out. Yeah. All right, so let me just point out, there's one extra line that Swami Akhandananda points out, and it starts with Om iti etad aksharamidam sarvam tasya upavyakhyanam. This Omkara, which we are going to be studying, the most important subject of our study. You will see what a remarkable, we haven't really done full justice to it, and we will do that in this whole course. This Omkara is everything. This needs to be proven. You can't just say the Omkara is everything and then walk away. So when you make such a phenomenal statement that Omkara is everything, we don't even understand what you mean by Omkara is everything. How can something be everything? So these questions will be answered by the time we are done. But anyway, in the very beginning, he says, Om iti etat aksharamidam. So the word aksharam here can be in both ways. Aksharam here means a word, and it also means naksharati iti aksharaha, the one which never changes. It's the same from the very, you can't even say it's anadi. It's the very, very nature of the whole creation. Aksharam. Om iti etad aksharamidam sarvam tasya upabhyakhyanam. So, Swami Akhandananda points it out. What is the meaning of upabhyakhyanam? And we will do that. Then we will shift over to Swami Dayananji's next line. So they call it differently. In Swami Dayananji, he says, this is called Sambandha Vakya. Sambandha Bhashya. And I mean, Akhandananda calls it Upodghata. Very small differences, not much to really worry about. Anyway, so Upavyakhyanam, let's comment on that. That's interesting. So Upavyakhyanam consists of two prefixes and a dhatu. So dhatu means khyanam. Khyanam means to reveal, to express. So if you have some thoughts in your mind and no one can see that thought in your mind, but if you were to convert that into an understandable statement, this is what is called khyanam. It's also called khyati. So khyati and khyanam means to reveal, to express. Now, if you add the prefix a stands for asamantat. Asamantat means total. Totally. Nothing is left out, because you can have an expression on a given subject, and even within the given subject, you may have an explanation which is not complete about that subject matter. You just have one side of it. But if you were to have everything about a subject, that will be akhyanam. Now here, this is not a relative akhyanam, this is the total akhyanam. This means that this is an explanation of Omkara, which is everything. And once you understand that, nothing more needs to be learned, to be done, or to aspire to. You're done. You're happy. So this is the totality of the Omkara, and the exposition of that totality of the Omkara is called Akhyanam. Then there is another prefix which is called V. Or you can even say that there's three prefixes. I forgot about that. So there is A, there is V, and there is Upa. So V means a very special form of unfolding that one has to pay attention to. There's a certain way of unfolding the truth about everything, because you have to catch the mind of the person and reveal the truth which we are ignorant about today. And this is really what the specialty of Vedas is. So V means Visheshena, very special way of Akhyanam. Then the last prefix is Upa. So Upa means close. close to me. Closeness, upa means, it conveys closeness. So this is all connected together, as we will see later on, that this Vyakhyanam has to go deep into your heart, very close to you. And by the way, that can only be done, this is the reason why Vedanta has to be learned from a living guru who reaches into your heart and touches it, sort of, and reveals the truth about yourself. So because, really speaking, in fact, well, you can say that any realization of truth all has to be done inside of you. When you say, oh, I get it. So when you say, I get it, okay, there's nothing external about it. You got it. You are the one who understands. So this is the meaning of Upavyakhyanam. Very beautiful. I thought I would mention that. So very quickly, Swami Akhandanandaji says that what we will talk about is Omkara, also called Pranava, which is a very important definition of Omkara called Pranava. So we'll wait for that. But that is an amazing definition called Pranava that we will see later on. And so we'll be using the words Pranava and Omkara interchangeably. Anyway, here Swami Akhandananda says that the meaning of Upavyakhyanam will be in several different ways. One is the Akriti, which means the form of Omkara. The second one is the name, which is Pranava. Pranava is the name of Omkara. So there will be an explanation of that. It will also talk about where do we find it. So what avastha means a state, would we find Omkara. And finally, what is the Swarupa? One is where do I find it? And then what is it? The Swarupa. So all those things will be pointed out. So here, so he points out that even the Akriti of the Omkara, because this is the Akriti. You've seen that. The Akriti of Omkara is also very significant. How is it significant? So the Akriti represents, means the very form, the visible form. If you were to draw it, then that Akriti represents totality. How does it represent totality? As we will see, it represents the three elements of the totality called A, U, and Ma. Ma with not an A in the end. Om. So when you put A and U and together, it becomes Om. That's the sound. So A will represent Okay, that will come later, but let me just say the is represented by this form. There is a line here and a vertical line here which is not there, but this form represents a. And then the word u is represented by this line here. So for those of you that are not there on the road or something like this, so then when you draw an Om, then you start on the left hand side, you start doing the kind of like the letter 3. So that represents the then a kind of like a tail next to it on the right hand side is represented by U, it represents U, and then this bindu in the top represents And this we will see in more detail later on. This has a lot of significance on what U, and Ma mean. And you probably know much of that already. So all of that will be talked about later. So now, let us see. Here, the next line this is Shankara Bhashya. So this is where Swami Dayanand starts his commentary. He has not talked about Om iti etat sarvam upavyakyanam. He did not comment on it as maybe he has, I haven't seen it. But then the next line of the Shankara Bhashya starts, and both of them now are in sync. And what does it say? If you see that in somewhere in the book, it says, Vedanta Artha Sara Sangraha Bhutam Idam Prakarana Chatushtayam Om iti etat Aksharam ityadi arabhyate. Vedanta Artha Sara Sangraha Bhutam Idam Prakarana Chatushtayam Om iti etat Aksharam ityadi arabhyate. So here he says that this Prakarana Chatushtayam. So Prakarana means, the word Prakarana means a particular subject, a topic, a particular topic is called Prakarana. Like for example, in the different Upanishad have different Prakaranas. Like for instance, the Mandukya, the Prakarana here is Avastha Traya Vilakshana, that Omkara, the Chaturthi, is not any of the three states of our experiences. That is a Prakarana. Then in the Taittiriya Upanishad, the main Prakarana is that you have Panchakosha Viveka. So those are a particular topic that even though the Tatparya, the meaning is all similar, same almost, but they focus on different Prakaranas. So here, Prakarana Chatushtayam means the 4 Prakaranas. So here it is referring to the Karika, because Karika has 4 different Prakaranas. Okay, so we will be studying that. And so the very first one, which we are already starting, is called Agama Prakarana. Agama Prakarana means that it is in fact the main subject matter of the entire Vedas. And so this is the Prakarana Chatushtayam. So This is what that is. Now let's go to the words Vedanta Artha Sara Sangraha Bhutam Idam Prakaranam Om Ityetad Aksharam Ityadi Arabhyate. So Vedanta Sara Sangraha Bhutam. So let's go into that. So all these are, it's interesting that you may feel that you already know a lot of this. There is nothing, and then you're anxious to go into the main topic of the Mandukya Karika and so on. But I think what I'd like to do is to make this into kind of like a complete course of study where all aspects of, it's not just reading one text, but all aspects of the study have to be pointed out. And you can even use this for teaching brand new people about what Vedanta is and so on and so forth. So some of that background has to be given. And so I hope you will be patient with me because I'm going to go through all of that as I did with the prayer verses and do a complete analysis of this. So this is a long-term program, as we will see. Okay, so the very first one is Vedanta. So what is Vedanta? So first we have to study what is Vedas. Again, I think you may all know that, but I think these are good points to point out what it is. So here, Vedas is called Kandatraya Atmakam. Kandatraya Atmakam Apaursheya Jnanam. I think that should be enough. Kandatraya Atmakam Apaursheya Jnanam. So we can just look at that. We'll study that. What is Kandatraya? Kandatraya means the one Atmakam, which is in the form of the three Kandas. And these are not incidental. These are exactly reflecting our life, everybody's life. And what are the three? The three are Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda, and Jnana Kanda. So it's interesting. This is the thing that I'd like to point out with the help of Swami Khadanandaji's explanation. Not just saying, okay, the Vedas consists of Karma Kanda. As we have done, we know that. Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda, Jnana Kanda. But we should see how it reflects the reality of how we operate in our life. So let's go into that. So the thing is, all of us are desirous of Ananda. This is the one single thing that is common to every living being on this earth or anywhere. Ananda, we all want happiness. This is what we want. It doesn't matter whether you are Indian or American or African or South Asians, whatever it is, whether you're a woman, even not only human beings, but even all beings want happiness. So, and then we find that we are not completely happy because there are gaps in our Ananda. So what do we do about it? Karma. Karma. Very simple thing is you are hungry. You're not happy because you are hungry. Your stomach is gurgling. So you need to now get some food. Karma. So we all resort to karma as a way of fulfilling our goals. Kriya, some action has to be done. Very natural. So this is what is called. And so the Vedas, which I'll define in a minute, says that's fine, that's fine. And in fact, if you want to refine the way you do karma and also the way you should not do karma, so this is called Vidhi Nishedha. This is all the subject matter of the Karma Kanda of the Vedas, and this is the majority of the Vedas, Karma Kanda. If you do this, you do that, you will find this, you will find that. Complete explanation of karma. Then after the karma, if you keep doing it, you find that there are some missing elements. And you need to find out how to get the grace of the Creator. So you begin to believe in God. Not everybody does. People go through the whole life, in fact, they go through whole life disparaging. Atheism is a disparaging. There's nothing, no God or anything. This is what life is all about. But then we can graduate into a kind of like a thought. My God, this seems to work very well. It has some surprises here and there, earthquakes and terrorism and so on. But by and large, this seems to really work very well. Water always boils at 100 degrees centigrade. It doesn't say one day it's not random. There's some structure, some order in it. Who is the one who has really done this order? So this then comes up, you start to study that yes, there is something called Ishvara, something called God, and you need to, if you want the grace of Ishvara, then you need to invoke it. There are certain things that you need to do. So this then becomes a quest for prayerful attitude, which is called Upasana Kanda. And the Upasana, the bhakti, you can call it karma, you can call it bhakti. Bhakti is another word for Upasana. It means that you are refining the way of living more and more happily in this world. Okay? Then comes jnanam. And jnanam means, here in this case, the end result of karma and upasana. It's like, I've worked very hard, I've been very sincere in my efforts and all that, and this is now resulting in my being happy. I'm happy, I'm satisfied, I'm glad we did that. And this happens, so the jnanam is an internal experience, if you may, of happiness as a result of the previous efforts. And this happens, for example, when you go on a vacation. So you go on vacation and there's karma is involved. Why? Because you have to get tickets, you have to go to the airport, you have to get on to an airplane, get a Uber, go to the hotel, and then supposing you just want to lie on the beach, then you go to the beach, and then at the end of all of this, what do? You close your eyes and you say, aha, I'm so happy that I'm here. So all that karma and there the upasana doesn't play much of a role, but in general, both karma and upasana culminate in an inner experience. That inner experience is jnanam. You are aware of it, I know. You are there, I am. And you are peaceful. So the nature of the final part of the life's journey is a sakshat aparokshat jnanam. This is me. I'm happy. You don't need anything else. This is jnanam. So here, in all cases, you can do it without the Vedas to a large extent. You don't need to read the Vedas to do karma. You don't need to read the Vedas for upasana. And you don't need to read the Vedas for jnanam. But if you want, you can get some advanced, professional, real advice from the Vedas. And how is it that this is what the Vedas is considered to be the final authority in everything in life? Karma, upasana, jnana, everything. Final authority. How do we know that? How can you say that? Why can't you read the Torah or the Bible or something else? Because it is called apaurusheya jnana. Paurusheya jnana means it is not generated by human beings. At the very possibility, it is revealed by human beings who are already very close to the truth. And so as an avatara, not necessarily the avatars that we know, but even all of us are avatars in some way. We have descended into an expression. And so, but if you have a very advanced avatara who takes lives, then the revelation, like in the case of the Badarayana and Krishna and Adi Shankara and so on, that can be translated into Paurusheya Jnanam. But the translation is from Apaurusheya Jnanam. Apaurusheya Jnanam means, this is what Vedas is, I'm defining. It is pure Jnanam, which does not change from year to year, from century to century. Even when there is pralaya, which happens every 50 million years, when there is everything is suspended. This is the half a day of Brahmaji. The Vedas never really changes. It just is kept in the pocket for another 50 million until the whole Srishti comes up again. So the Vedas is Apaurusheya Jnanam. And the Apaurusheya Jnanam is you. You should not be seen as, oh my God, I don't know where the Apaurusheya Jnanam. This is the interesting thing. You are the Apaurusheya Jnanam. How do we say that? How can we say that you are the Apaurusheya Jnanam? So the word Vedas means Jnanam, knowledge. And in what form? In you. Not in you, you. How? See for yourself. I know. As we saw in the class the other day. I know. You can never get rid of I know. That is knowledge. Now, I know is tarnished by some mistakes which we will point out as we go along. But the fact of the matter is that I know is the very fundamental part. And also, I am is not a speculation. What is going to happen to me is speculation. But I am is not a speculation. It is a reality. Satta Swarupam. This is Vedas. So the Vedas basically points out the essence of the life. The essence of life is you. You are already the essence of life. That is what is called Vedanta. So Vedasya Antaha means, here the Antaha means the very essence of the Vedas, which is the final chapter of the Vedas, the final chapter of all. And so there the karma and the upasanas form a necessary introduction to jnana. So they are not superfluous. You cannot go up to jnanam until both karma and upasana have done their job in your life. So the entire Veda, which is called Kandatraya Atmakam, Apaurusheya Jnanam, this is Veda. And then the Paramatatparya of the Veda is called Vedanta. So in that sense, for example, one can say that the Jnanam is the Angi, Angin, and Karma and Upasana are the Angas. So the main stem is the Jnanam, and the Karma Upasana are the limbs of the stem. Anyway, so that's the definition. So now, one very quick thing before we go further. Here Swami Akhandananda says that there are in Vedanta 7 main subjects in Vedanta. So now we go into Vedanta, not just Vedas. 7 main subjects, sub-subjects if you want to call. Those are Adhikari Nirnaya, means who is the person that the Vedanta is meant for. What kind of a person? Adhikari. Number 1. Number 2 is Guru Upasatanam, taking refuge in a living person. Upasati, Guru Upasati, refuge. We'll talk about very briefly on each one of them, not in all cases, but I just want to mention those 7 things that we should keep in mind. The third one is Tvampada and Tatpada Shodhanam. Shodhanam here means clarification, thinking of the clear distinction between you, Tvampada, and that, Tatpada. So that means something other than you, and Tvampada means you. So the whole Vedanta is, these are the important Vishayas of Vedanta. Adhikari Nirnaya, Guru Upasati, then Tvampada and Tatpada Shodhanam. Number 4 is the understanding that both Tvampada and Tatpada are one and the same. In the beginning they are different, but in the end it turns out to be different, to be the same. So it's called Aikyam, Ekata. 4. Number 5 is how. How is that going to happen? What is the clarification that dissolves the differentiation between one and the other? This is called Virodha Parihara Samanvaya. Technical words, you don't have to worry about that. Virodha Parihara Samanvaya means that it's not just make-believe, but something that has to be proven clearly, definitively, that really it's not two, it's all one. That is number 5. Then number 6 and 7 are sadhana and phalam. The sadhana means how do we do that? What do I need to do in order to follow all this? And finally, there is phalam. What is the result of it? What does it mean to me? So on. So I will briefly describe some of them, right? But not go through the details of, I think you know quite a bit of that already. Okay, let's go to Adhikari Nirnaya. So this is what I'm saying, is that this is the way we should have a complete understanding of Vedanta. This is why this is a course of study, not just the Mandukya Karika. So the first one is Adhikari Nirnaya. So if you look at the Karma Kanda, either the Laukika Karma or the Vaidika Karma, both of them, general, nothing to do with Vedas or having to do with the Vedas, sanctioned by the Vedas. If you look at that, those depend very much upon who you are, right? So what is appropriate for a woman is inappropriate for a man, and vice versa. What is appropriate for a child, which is playing with marbles and balloons, is inappropriate for an adult. So therefore, in terms of karma, all the adhikaritvam has to be defined. And this goes even more in Vedas. I mean, if you look at the Vaidika yagyas and so on, they have very strict rules. Some things only man can do, other things woman can do. You cannot mix them. So it all depends on who you are, where you are. It's all very specific, and it's nothing good or bad. This is the way it should be done. Swami Dayananda used to say that. He says, what an interesting thing. You cannot go to a Christian church until you have shoes on. You can't just walk in bare feet and your padri there will say, what are you doing? You should approach, this is a very proper place for worship, and you should be dressed properly, and you should be wearing shoes and so on. But if you go to an Indian temple, you have to leave the shoes out. You cannot do that. So it all depends on, where you are and who you are and what the religion is and what the purpose is. All have to do with karma. In Vedanta, the adhikari doesn't need a jati or linga, any background. It is not necessary that you should be a Hindu. Not necessary you can be an Indian or a non-Indian. It doesn't matter whether you are a woman or a man. It doesn't matter whether you're 17-year-old or you are 85 years of old. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Everybody is eligible to study Vedanta. So this is from the standpoint of adhikaritvam. So now, so must be something, we keep talking about the jigyasu and who are the qualified people and so on. What is the qualification? Because this is a manasa vyapara. Manasa vyapara means that it is a mental vyapara, and this person must have a sense that this is important for me. And if you don't want to do that, that's okay too. Then that's exactly what happens. Most people say, I don't need Vedanta. Remember this, I think I think I've talked about this before, but when Swamiji had Mahasamadhi in the year 2015, then we had, I think some of you may remember it. If you don't, you can see this. We had a very large function in San Jose where we, asked everybody to come and then pay their homage to Swamiji and so on. And so one of our students found out a video of Swamiji in a satsang back in, I think, Piercy. It must be from Piercy. And so that video was played, I remember. And one of the reasons I remember that is because I was one of the people sitting in the satsang. I looked very different. I had a full hair and a black hair and so on. But I was on the audience as the video was being taken. So in that video, there was a question by one of the satsangis. He says, Swamiji, I would like to invite some of my friends to come and listen to you, but they don't want to come. They want to come. So how do I change that? So Swamiji says, don't put any pressure on them and so on. It's all in good humor and the way it was done so beautifully. It is still there somewhere. I think on YouTube we can find it. So Swamiji says, yeah, you don't have to say, you must come. That's not the way to do that. You can say, I think it'd be interesting that if you can come, it'll be. So he says, no, I don't need Vedanta. Swamiji says, okay, do this. Don't stop your dialogue. Continue the dialogue with the person. How's life? How's work? And the person says, I don't know. This job is not very fulfilling, and these days there is so many layoffs and I can't find another job. And says, I'm very sorry to hear that. Because, the person starts by saying, I don't have any problems. But then if you probe on it, job's not satisfied. Hey, how about your marriage? It's okay, nothing special. Everybody has goods and bad points. And, sometimes my wife and I fight and this. How about children? Oh my gosh. The children are such a burden. Oh, good heavens, they get sick and I have to do this and that. We go through this dialogue and you say you don't have any problems. And so, and he says, I think we have a solution for you. So Swamiji says that really you may say I don't have any problems, but if you really itemize it, there is something that can be done. Anyway, so in terms of adhikari, the jigyasu, a jigyasu is an important one because, as I've also told you that many times in my own family, in my own friend circles and so on, especially in our own family, you cannot get people to come and listen. And yet you find that there is someone who is really looking for answers in life, and some peculiar kind of thinking comes up, and they are very open. They come in and they say, oh my God, why didn't somebody tell me this? So in terms of adhikari, it doesn't mean man, woman, jati, linga, etc. Nothing. But a person, something must strike the mind of a person and says, wow, there's something interesting going on. It could be a book also. You know, I think I remember I was telling you that I was really struck by the autobiography of a yogi, even though it didn't talk about Vedanta. But it kind of loosened my blocking away all the science and so on and so forth, and says there's some funny things going on. I should inquire into it. And once I got into it and says, oh my God. Anyway, that's a separate thing. So, here Swami Akhandananda has made little points about many of these things that I thought I'd share with you, even though, you know, this is all something you all know, but this is a kind of a reminder of the Adhikari Nirnaya. And then part of that is Shravanam. So he made a point about Shravanam. Very interestingly. These we have to really delve into the depth of the minds of these Mahatmas on something that books do not give. Because Shravanam, he says, is not just listening. Not just listening. Because in the, this is exactly what right? I mean, my memory is such that I've done, yeah. So in Kathopanishad 2:23 it says, Na ayam atma pravachanena labhyaha na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. Means that the understanding of the Atma is not obtained by simply teaching or talking about it. Pravachana. Pravachana means a discourse. It's not how one, it doesn't mean that the teacher knows. You can talk without knowing. That's easy to do. Okay, so just by saying, you know, Swami Akhandananda gave this very beautiful example, which I think we can relate to. He said one time I was sitting down and he was visiting Banaras, Varanasi, because he was close to that area. And by that time his name had gotten to say that this is a person who really knows what it's all about, because he has gone through a lifetime of following Mahatmas, and you can see some of the biography that he can read. Just absolutely remarkable, the life that he had of just going from difficult areas to, you know, living with isolated Mahatmas for years. Anyway, so his name had become quite well known. So one day there was somebody came to see him, and he was the head of the department of Vedic studies in Banaras Hindu University. Banaras Hindu University is not an ordinary university. Banaras is not an ordinary place. And the BHU is a very famous place, and there's such scholarship and such discipline. And you have to do a lot of study of the language, all the Prakarana Granthas, this, that, or the other. This is a huge course. And he's the head of the department. So Swamiji says that I was sitting there and somebody said, this gentleman has come to see you. So he came in and they shut the door and said, Swamiji, I need to talk to you. Swamiji says, yes, what about? He said, Swamiji, I am not happy. I'm not a happy person. So Swami Khandananda says, I'm sorry to hear that, but you have such credentials, you're doing so well, and this, that, or the other, and you're teaching it to everybody. He says, Swamiji, I'm teaching it to others because I've learned a lot of, I've become a scholar in my life, and I have studied a lot of books, and I have studied Sanskrit, and I'm a good orator, but I am not happy. Can you please help me? I will not go to anybody else, but I would like to really need your help to do that. Somebody says, look at this thing. It's a guy who's not an ordinary person. He's the one who's been studying Vedas and Vedantas and teaching it and so on and so forth, and yet he's not happy. So this is why it is said in the Kathopanishad, Na ayam atma pravachanena labhyaha na medhaya. Medhaya means that, this is another thing that happens. I see a lot of teachers who have studied a lot of this, of the Vedantic scriptures, and they can quote it any one time, very quickly. Impressive, really speaking. So their Meda Shakti is very good. Mine is not. My memory is if I read some chant, and I don't read it for a few days, just like this one. I knew this by heart at one time. Na bahuna shrutena. Bahuna shrutena means you're taking a lot of classes, like, I've done this, and so on. No. Then what does Shravanam mean? This is what it calls Shravanam. So Shravanam means that, I've done this, I've done that. No. Shravanam means I have understood what the Shastra is pointing out. Yes, I have some blocks in my mind that leave me with some samshaya, some doubts. But by and large, this is what is called Tatparya Nishchaya. So Tatparya Nishchaya means that what is it that the Shastra is saying? And it's a very beautiful thing, because that's when your Shravanam becomes pretty complete. Because even though you read different Vedantic books, you can read Triktrishya Viveka, you can read Advaita Makaranda, you can read, Upanishads, you can read Bhagavad Gita, and they all have slightly different language, several different language, and so on and so forth. But if you know the Tatparya Nishchaya, if you know the Tatparya, not Nishchaya, if you know the Tatparya means what is the essence of it and all that, you can recognize it as a common element in all of them. It says, yes, this is what it is saying. And it reinforces the main vision. Ahamasmi sadabhami kadachit nahi apriyaha ahameva brahmasmeti Satchidananda Lakshanam. And so this is the common thing for everything. Once you understand that, and you may have certain doubts that you're still removing, but you understand that that is when the Shravanam is complete. So it's not ayam atma pravachanena labhyaha na medhaya na bahushrutena. So it's interesting. That's what the adhikari has to do. Okay. Then the next one is so in a way this is the explanation of who is an adhikari. See, we are just going through that. So it doesn't mean man or a woman or Indian or American or anything like that. But it means someone who is a jigyasu. Jigyasu means the one who gyatum ichu, one who wants to know. There's something inside of that. It says, this is not available in my daily transactions. I want to do this. This is a jigyasu. Because you have a feeling. You could be either having lots of problems, or even if you're not having problems, but you have a certain lack of understanding. So that is a jigyasu. And then there Shravanam comes in. Okay, so the Shravanam means that now you have to complete it. Not just reading some books. You cannot say, oh, I've done this, I've done that, and nothing is happening. Well, we have to keep going until something happens. All right, then the next one is the Viveka Vairagya. Well, this will come later on also, but because of this, this is all under Adhikari Nirnaya. So Viveka Vairagya. And so there it is Sadhana Chatushtaya, Viveka Vairagya, Shamadhi Shatka Sampattihi, and Mumukshutvam. Okay. So Viveka Vairagya means that be able to see. So this is what Vedanta points out very clearly, that right now things are all mixed up. Atma and Anatma do not appear. You don't know that they are two separate things that are being mixed up. But to study that there are actually two things is Viveka. And the two things are, you should see that in your life. Based on the guidelines of the Shastra, you should be able to see what you should see. You should see that whatever I'm experiencing, I'm seeing here, this so on and so forth, is changing. It's not sthira. It's not changing. It's not sthira. It's changing continuously. So the entire set of experiences has to be seen as a grouping, which the basic characteristic is that it wasn't there before, it is there now, and even now in the middle of my experience it is changing and it is going to disappear. As contrasted to that, the person who is seeing doesn't change. What a difference between those two. This one has to be, one has to see this. If you cannot see this, then we suggest you go back to leading a normal life and postpone your study until you're ready again. So the Viveka consists of seeing that these mixed up experiences has two elements. One is continuous change and the other one is no change at all. And then based on this, you also need to follow through with Vairagya. Following through with Vairagya means that you look at the implications of Viveka. Why? Because the implications of Aviveka are that you're ignoring the unchanging. You're not even paying attention to that. You're not even aware of that. You don't think it's consequential. Even if you read some books and he says, you are the Atma, the unchanging, I don't really, I don't follow that. I say, okay, that's a good thing. I'll have to study that later. And so Vairagya means to follow through with Viveka. Because says things that are changing, I should have a distant relationship with them. It's not as though I will avoid it, but this kind of clinging to things, is it necessary? Because it's going to all go. Should I not be associated with something which is more reliable, which is me, which is unchanging, and which happens to be Paramatma? Should I not look into that? In the beginning I don't, but... And so this is what would be called Viveka and Vairagya. And then Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti. It looks like all these theoretical words, Shama, Dhamma, Uparama, Titiksha, etc., etc. Basically, we should see that my way of relating to the world, which has to do with Kama, Krodha, Bhoga, Moha, has to go, should go. Why am I so concerned about my desire? Why am I getting upset about things? And so slowly you start to develop, because in the beginning you don't even know that you can be outside of Kama, Krodha, Moha, etc. But with the help of the Shastra, which says, yes, absolutely, you can live without it. Try it. In fact, you need to do it. So this is the Sampatti. Sampatti means you have to have a wealth. So it's a gradual process where you begin to, instead of just saying it is inevitable, for me to get angry, it's inevitable, what am I supposed to do? People are doing wrong things to me and I shouldn't be upset about that. But if you want to do it, you can do that. But the thing is that with this discovery of something new, then what you should do is to live in a mind which is clean, which is based on the Atma, which is unchanging. Try it. It's not as though you're going to immediately do that. So this kind of a resort of Shamadhi Shakka Sampatti. Same thing with, so all aspects of this. So for example, Dhamma. So Dhamma means that control of your limbs. All the Mahatmas say this. Swami Akhandananda and some other books, not in this book, I think he said that. He says that in order to really calm your mind down, you have to calm your body down. Because if you're just doing scratchy and moving and so on and so forth, and your mind also becomes chanchalam. So, in order to make your mind steady, make your body steady. That is the function of the asana. And of course, much more than that, Dhamma means control of your organs of action. So all of that, I'm not going to go through. Yeah, here the word Shraddha was commented on by Swami Akhandananda. He says, the really meaning of Shraddha is that you have an abhimana. I'm a person. I think I've reached, I've gone to graduate school and I'm now working and I'm someone. And so the word Shraddha means there is something greater than that and I must resort to it. And so you have to give up your abhimana. And for you to even attend classes, no matter what you are, requires some Shraddha. And so Shraddha towards both the Guru as well as the Shastra that the Guru is talking about, that Shraddha is very necessary as part of the Adhikaritva. So, okay, so with that, I think we'll close. And then I will go into very briefly about Guru Upasadanam. You're taking refuge to a Guru and why. And I don't think I'll spend too much time on Prampada Shodhanam and Aikyam and so on. That will come all later on. But some interesting commentary about, useful commentaries about all these things I thought I would talk about. And then we will begin the main bhashya by Adi Shankara in introducing. He's also going to give the Sabbandha bhashya before introducing the very first verse of the Mandukya. So that we will begin next time. I hope this is you're patient at this point. This will take a while, but this is what I want to do, is to have a complete course of study. It's kind of like if you were in an ashram, you will be doing all of this background if you're studying it over 2.5 years. So I have to condense it because we are meeting only once a week, but it will be nice to have a complete review. And then we'll get into the main subject matter about Omkara and what it means and how does that affect you, why is it important for you. All of that will come very beautifully as we proceed further. So with that, I'll close the class today. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Yeah, please allow me time to unfold it in a more complete manner, rather than just simply taking a text and so on. This is really like a course of, I keep saying that. So, but it means that you need to be patient as well. It'll all come together very nicely, but the background has to be very thorough and very deep. So, good. Very nice. I'm happy to see all of you, and look forward to next week. Okay. Bye bye. Hari Om.